Guess who just got a new job working as a security guard at this pizza restaurant? I sure did. I just gotta hope all these terrifying animatronics don't decide they want to rip me to pieces. It comes to no surprise that we are still talking about Five Nights at Freddy's analog horror. For one, it might just be one of the best IPs to be turned into analog horror. And you guys love the videos. Way back when I was a young lad, and the games were coming out still, I didn't get around to playing them. I just watched the man himself, Markiplier, play them. That was until the 4th game ended. That was when I stopped keeping up with the story. I'm pretty sure I thought the game series was over after 4. Little did I know. So this has been a great opportunity to update myself on what has been going on since I dropped off, and I definitely did not expect the story to get as batshit as it did, considering it was already pretty crazy to begin with. That being said, if you're interested in seeing a first-time run of the FNAF series on 4-player, let me know down below, because it's something I've been thinking about doing. Needless to say, we are going to be exploring yet another Five Nights at Freddy's analog horror series I've come across, and it looks like it's going to be following a bit closer to how the games went. Normally we follow a new universe with a unique spin, or we follow a story we haven't really seen shown in the games. So to see a new rendition of the plot the games had shown us should be quite interesting. And just like some FNAF videos we have gone over in the past, it looks like this is going to be fully animated as well. But don't worry, I've already seen some true analog horror elements, so I'm pretty excited to get into this. With that being said, let's stop wasting time here. We've got a night shift to get to. As always, be sure to check out the original series to help support the creator. But without further ado, let's climb back into the animatronic suit, pray it doesn't spring lock on us, and head out to this new FNAF analog horror world like we've never seen before. But before I let you get too far, just wanted to say if you're new here and enjoy what you're watching, be sure to hit all those neat buttons down below as it really helps support the channel. I'll also have linked in the description below our socials and the 4-player gaming channel where we dive into the terrifying world of horror video games. But anyways, now you can pass through. Party Room Freddy.mp4. Our tape begins, and it looks like we are viewing through security camera footage, and just like the title suggests, it seems like we are watching over the party room. The lights begin to flicker on and off, and that's when the legend himself, Freddy Fazbear, walks into frame. He looks around a bit before it appears the camera goes out. As it turns out, turning the caption on gives that whole scene a new tragic meaning. Mom? Mom, where are you? The camera is still off, only to come back on to show off Freddy doing what Freddy does best. It's pretty easy to miss, but for a brief moment you can see the puppet reveal himself from behind Freddy. We then see Freddy staring right at us as he is covered in shadows. In the background we can hear what sounds like a wind-up music box. The last thing we see in this short tape is the camera moving closer to Freddy, the white in his eyes now visible as he shakes around. Given that this is the first entry and that it's only 40 seconds long, I figured there wouldn't be too much story-wise to pull from. Looks like we are being shown just a quick little glimpse into the life of being a possessed animatronic. Just a poor lost child who endlessly looks for his parents. The life of these animatronics is truly a tragic one. A new establishment. Our footage begins, and it looks like this is a tape created by Fazbear Entertainment, specifically a commercial to show off the new restaurant. See, in the game universe, there was Fredbear's Family Diner, and then Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opened up after the diner's success. Then, after the Bite of 83, the diner was closed, but the pizzeria stayed open. However, in this universe, the diner was closed down, and then a new location with new animatronics and a new name opened up, aka our classic characters and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the restaurant this commercial is for. The commercial shows off Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Freddy. What a guy. The narrator goes on to talk about the old models, but his audio gets cut out pretty quickly. All we can see is Fredbear standing next to Spring Bonnie, and for some reason Fredbear's face is censored, probably because it still has a bit of forehead left in its mouth after his infamous bite down. The footage cuts back to the commercial to show off the security office and various other areas of the restaurant. We are assured that there are cameras and guards everywhere so our children will be safe. The commercial ends with the narrator hoping he sees us at one of the restaurants. Sorry man, but you probably won't be seeing me. It seems this tape managed to push the plot forward a bit. We at least know when in the timeline we are. It looks like we are after the Bite of 83, but before the toy animatronics. Like the last tape, this one was pretty short, still under a minute. However, it managed to give us a bit of story clues. Who knows if we will stay in this section of the game's timeline, or if we will be hopping around to different moments. Night 4 phone call. We end up finding ourselves in the midst of the first FNAF game, specifically Night 4 like the title suggests. In the game, the phone guy would call us every night, and Night 4 he starts to sound a bit more distressed, telling us that it's been a bad night for him, and he probably won't be able to call us for the next night. The camera pans over to the left, and we can see Bonnie hauntingly in the shadows as they bang on the window. We then look over to our right, and sure enough, there's Chica just staring right at us. The phone guy then asks us to check the suits in the back room whenever we get the chance. Sounds like he expects to be stuffed inside one of them and is hoping to save his skin ahead of time.
I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad.
The power then shuts down, and the man himself decides to show up. And in a surprising turn of events, he isn't alone.
Back there. No.
And in a shocking turn of events, the description actually gives us info that changes the context here. A tape of the phone guy showing his last moments before his disappearance. That wasn't us listening to his final call. This was us making the final call. Poor guy. It is interesting that this FNAF horror series is actually just following the events of the game series. Most of the time, FNAF analog horrors try to put their own spin on the story, taking some creative liberties to help fulfill their personal interpretations. Sure, this one has made some slight changes, but for the most part, this appears to be following the game's plot to a T. It also looks like this is the last entry that is less than a minute long. Now it's time to get into the beefy entries of this series. Night 5 phone call. The tape opens up, and the first thing we see is Golden Freddy, with blacked out eyes staring into our soul as his body shakes around. It sounds like he is talking in some garbled way. I tried reversing the audio, but alas, it is truly just gibberish. The camera continues to get closer and closer as the image of Golden Freddy flashes on screen periodically. Then we see Bonnie, then the puppet, and Golden Freddy with human eyes. The phone guy's call we heard from the last tape is then played to us, specifically the part where he asks us to go to the back and check inside the suits, you know, so that he doesn't die inside one of them. We then find ourselves in the maintenance room. I have a sinking feeling the phone guy is in one of these suits. We see as Chica leaves the room, and then Bonnie, leaving Freddy to just say to himself, "Perfect." The Freddy suit on the table then looks to us. His haunting eyes peer through, and text at the bottom just reads, "It wasn't me." Damn phone guy. Wrong place, wrong time. The next scene then has us with Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica all on stage, and the three of them have differing opinions on what just occurred. We finally did it. Gabriel, I feel like it wasn't him. I agree, he looked different. No, I'm pretty sure it was him. I enjoyed putting him in the suit. While he was screaming in pain, I gave him the same pain he did to us. Gabriel, are you okay? I did what I was supposed to do, but if it was him, we'd be in heaven by now. There then begins a long pause where nothing is said. Please don't be sad. We'll find him and make him pay. Together. Eyes can be seen glowing under Freddy's mask as the screen fades to black. So it sounds like the phone guy was mistaken for the infamous William Afton, and when the animatronics tried to get their revenge, they got the wrong guy instead, and still killed him in a horrifying and brutal fashion. I really like how we are actually getting to see the animatronics having more personalities. Freddy, aka Gabriel, is a lot more sinister this go-around, relishing in the murder of who he thought was his tormentor. Being blinded by revenge so much he kills the wrong person. It looks like we are starting to get into the deeper details that we don't see throughout the games. More characterization to the spirits within the animatronics. Who knows how far they will go to get William. The kitchen. The tape opens up and we are met with this camera disabled screen, until the camera is then shockingly enabled, and we get a look into the kitchen for the first time. In the first FNAF, the kitchen was the only area that you weren't able to see anything at. You could only hear. Who knows, given what happened in the 12-men tapes, perhaps we don't want to be here. For the most part, nothing really exciting happens in the kitchen so far. We do at some point hear Freddy do his iconic laugh somewhere in the distance. The next thing we then hear is the puppet's music box. That is until the door is slammed open by Chica, entering in like the big bird she is. Chica walks around the kitchen, and then decides to give us a stare down. Please go away. Chica then starts to mess around with some of the kitchen equipment. Perhaps she is trying to cook. We cut ahead a bit and can see Chica has left, but then we can see Freddy walking down the hall. The next thing we see is actually quite interesting, as it shows us this is one of the very 5 nights happening during the game. It's kinda cool to get this outside perspective of Foxy sprinting down towards the security room. Good thing the door was shut on time. Freddy then comes back and looks into the kitchen. We then cut ahead, and instead of Freddy, it's actually Foxy who walks inside, but he quickly ends up leaving. The camera is then disabled once more, leaving only the audio. And when it comes back on, I kinda wish it just stayed off. beautiful eyes you have, Freddy. The camera is then restarted, and when it comes back on, we can see Freddy in the shadows. His eyes begin to flash. He turns and looks right into our eyes before the camera cuts out, only to return to give us an even more ominous look at Freddy, and in classic FNAF fashion, he jump scares us. Turns out he didn't jump scare us alone. He had the puppet with him, and text can be seen below that reads, "Everything is fine." We then find ourselves back in the security room as the power is shutting down. Freddy is on a roll tonight as he runs at us the second the lights go out, and he is wasting no time finishing this tape off. Like some of the others, this appears to just be taking place during the first game, watching as the animatronics wander about the restaurant terrorizing the security guard. It was cool, however, to get a look at the kitchen. Being the only camera to not be available to you in the first game certainly added a big level of intrigue as to what could be going on in there. Turns out they just like chilling out in the kitchen sometimes. Nightmare. A few months after the closure of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in the Factory, a mysterious tape shows us Gabriel's nightmare. The first thing we see looks to be some sort of activation screen. Turns out, we are in the eyes of Freddy, being awoken in the middle of the night. We turn to our right and can see withered Bonnie, and to our left is withered Chica. We look over at Bonnie once more, and when we go to turn back, something else ends up showing itself. That was a weird looking animatronic. That couldn't be Springtrap, could it? Perhaps Golden Freddy. All I know is there was red text that said he's coming for you. I need to keep an eye out. The footage cuts out and we can very faintly see text that just says save them. We return to Freddy's POV, and now Bonnie is looking right at us. Something is wrong with Susie. We look over and sure enough, Chica is looking a bit distressed. Honestly, so does Bonnie. As we turn, we can then see Foxy right in front of us, and he's probably the freakiest of them all here. More text appears that just reads, "Stop him." Stop Foxy? Again, our footage cuts out, and we are then taken to the separate area, but still under the mask. It's quite hard to see, but way in the back you can read the words, "Old Friends." This next bit is pretty haunting. The puppet slowly peeks into frame, and then he shows up again, and again, and soon enough there's just too many to count, followed by the repeated phrase, "You can't." The next segment then has us looking straight out of the teaser for Monsters Inc., but this time we see a painting of the puppet on the wall. The door opens up, and it's not Sully or Mike, but Springtrap, and boy does he end this off in horror. I especially enjoyed this entry as we have now gotten into FNAF 2 territory. I'm sure we all recognize these scenes from that game, getting to go into the eyes of Freddy. Granted, this tape took it to a whole other level, making this experience look especially tormenting. We also got potentially our first look at Springtrap at the very end. So far, we have been mostly in the realm of the first game, so I'm pretty excited to see what awaits us in the sequel. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The tape begins and the first thing we see is the puppet's box, as the music can be heard in the back. The camera gets closer and closer until the puppet jumps out at us. The camera cuts out and we are then met with an ominous warning. This tape, preserved by unknown sources, is not meant to be seen. If you find it, destroy it. Before the last part can fully load in, however, our screen cuts to a new message. Keep it. Well, if you say so. The title card is then shown to us, and then the show begins at the infamous restaurant. We are brought inside and are met with the core gang in toy form, hanging out on stage. Your presence has been noticed. Freddy's eyes begin to dilate as his head tilts down. Leave while you still can. Toy Foxy is then who we see next. They remember, and they're waiting. Toy Foxy then looks like she's breaking down, and then proceeds to stare right into the camera, with red text that says, "You're not alone. It's too late. You're already a part of this." It's now midnight, and we are taken to various parts of the restaurant. First, the party room. Then we see Balloon Boy running across the hall. Creepy bastard. You can't escape once they've seen you. They were promised a celebration, but they never got to leave. Look closely. They're watching you. Even now. The camera pans over, and sure enough, there is Megan Fox, I mean Toy Chica. They look harmless, don't they? We then see the old animatronics, as Freddy's eyes slowly come on. You don't belong here. We are then met with the door to the service room. The latch flips off and the door swings open. We then cut to this next segment, where Toy Bonnie runs out from the darkness, and gets way too close for comfort, showing off those big ol' eyes. We then see Toy Freddy, followed by the puppet, and then Balloon Boy once more, before we cut to the next segment. We are met with the Fazbear Entertainment logo, and in classic analog horror fashion, we are watching an employee training tape. Looks like we got the job of night guard, a position I definitely didn't apply for. Nonetheless, our duty is simple: keep watch, stay alert, and ensure the animatronics remain in their designated areas. Thankfully, they have some tips to help us survive an encounter with each animatronic. Toy Freddy, you have to put on the old Freddy mask. Toy Bonnie lingers in the dark, so we must use our flashlight to get rid of them. For Toy Chica, we have to stay still. Balloon Boy disables our flashlight, and so we essentially just have to keep watch. Toy Foxy is a tough one. We have to use our flashlight, but we have to be fast. The camera ends up cutting out, however, and what we see next gives us an interesting hint as to what is to come. He's controlling us? That doesn't sound good. It sounds like someone needs to be spring-locked. We then return to our animatronic guide, this time talking about the withered animatronics. Apparently, these guys are a different story when it comes to defending yourself, as in there is no way to defend yourself against these ones. Freddy is too fast and will rip us apart. Bonnie will beat us to death, so there's no point in hiding. Chica will electrocute us, and Foxy will not stop until he catches us and slits our throats. We then see the puppet, who tells us we shouldn't have come here. He tells us that all of our tools are useless against the animatronics, and they know exactly where and who we are. The screen then cuts out, and we read text that says, "You shouldn't have destroyed this tape, but it's too late now. You will die soon. He's already at your house now." Wait a minute, my house?
Man, not my house!
I don't remember inviting you and Freddy. This tape was pretty cool, I gotta say. It was neat to get a look at the toy animatronics. This tape also fully delved into the analog horror genre, with the employee training tape and everything, even going so far as to have the tape get corrupted, and to have us be directly spoken to. I especially liked the end where Freddy had broken into your house. From a lore perspective, I guess it doesn't really make sense, but the scene is cool, so who cares? I'm curious to see where the story is going to go from here. We learned that William Afton is still in control, even after being killed. According to the description, this tape showed up only a few days after William had been spring-locked, so this tape is now sending off a warning that the nightmare is not over. William isn't gone. Withered Nights. Our entry begins, and we are seen moving down this hallway. That is, until we reach the end and see this disturbing nightmare. After that's all over, we find ourselves on the restaurant computer for Freddy Fazbear's, and it looks like we have a new message. "Hey Jeremy, night 3. Nice work making it this far. Quick update. The company sent the toy animatronics back to the factory tonight. They found some problems with their systems, so you won't see them around the building. The animatronics are still in parts and service. They're not supposed to move. They barely work anymore. Sure they don't. If they move a little, it's the chains messing around. Old metal does that. Sure they do. Haha, trust me. They're not going anywhere. But keep an eye on the room from time to time. It should be a quiet night with the toys out of the building. If anything acts up, just log it on your tablet and we'll check it in the morning." We then find ourselves in the security office in the FNAF 2 location. We then see the puppet's box open up. It's now midnight. We see the door to parts and service, and inside can see the 4 animatronics inside. Then this shadowy figure appears from the corner before quickly vanishing. It's the same figure we saw at the very beginning. Could it be William's cursed spirit? Perhaps the puppet. The camera then cuts ahead, and the boards on the door have been removed. We cut back to inside and can see what looks like the animatronics plotting something, especially Freddy. Clever bastard. The puppet with no face can then be seen exiting his box and going straight for the camera. And sure enough, we see the door to parts and service open, and the gang is on the move. If I saw this on the cameras, I honestly don't know what I'd do. It's now 12:15, and the animatronics are now just roaming around the restaurant. We see as Freddy looms down hauntingly. Text then appears telling us that 1 wants us to stay, 1 doesn't want us to leave, and 1 won't let us go. However, 1 wants our soul. Oh dear. I'm gonna guess Golden Freddy does. We're coming for it. Well, that's too bad. We then get this collection of footage showing all the animatronics in action. Chica lunges towards the camera, mouth open. Freddy is standing with the puppet wrapped around him. Bonnie waving up at the camera. Foxy is shaking around. Golden Freddy is spazzing on the floor. We even see Jeremy in his office freaking out. This whole night is turning into chaos, and it looks like all the animatronics are heading straight for poor Jeremy. As we sit in the office, waiting for something to happen, Freddy ends up deciding to show himself. No exit, No one's coming. It ends here. In a frightening turn of events, we see all the animatronics standing in front of us. Their eyes go dark as Golden Freddy's lights up and the puppet can be seen. The next thing we see is Freddy walking towards us, and it looks like we are already inside a suit, and he puts on the finishing touch. We then see the animatronic suit, with a very clear corpse shoved inside it. Pretty nasty. Oddly enough, we can see what then looks like an animatronic hand reaching out from inside. I'm not too sure what that could be. We then learn that Jeremy was never found. He was taken somewhere unknown. Whatever he was is gone. We then get this very bizarre frame. It is still hungry, and we can see what looks like a depiction of hell, with Satan or some demonic creature standing tall next to someone who has hung themselves. I have no idea who this person could be, or why we are in hell. Perhaps this is supposed to show that this is where Jeremy is now, but he didn't kill himself. Or it's supposed to show that there is something demonic at play underneath it all, trying to collect some souls. The next segment then shows us at this maintenance shop, where we see Toy Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Freddy. Looks like they are all fixed up. Then we see the puppet. And the last thing this entry shows us is the crew from Five Nights at Candy's. I had no idea what Five Nights at Candy's, or FNAF, was until this very moment. Turns out it's an indie fan game that's supposed to be a spin-off of Five Nights at Freddy's. It got so popular that it essentially is now recognized as canon to the property, which is pretty cool if you ask me. That was quite the tape to end off, I must say. This one was the most recent to come out by quite a bit. As of writing this, the latest tape came out 9 days ago, and the one before came out a year ago. Just goes to show the amount of time and effort that goes into this, and it especially shows in the last tape. The quality has gotten a clear upgrade. This tape shows off a very unique style in the world of FNAF, one that is now special to this creator. There is a certain frame of Freddy standing outside the parts and service doorway that I think encapsulates it pretty well. This whole entry just had this really haunting and eerie design to it that I really liked. This tape also proposed the potential idea of demonic work being at play here in some capacity. I don't know how or in what fashion, but it clearly seems to be influencing things behind the scenes. Perhaps that is how William Afton is able to continue his reign of terror after being spring-locked. As a whole, this was a very welcome FNAF analog horror series. Like I said prior, this one does seem to follow a bit more closely to how the games play out, following the plotline of the first two main titles. I thought the animation was very well done. A lot of the designs were truly frightening, and I liked how we got to see a stuffed animatronic, as sadistic as that sounds. Seeing Freddy shove someone into a suit was super brutal, but something I was morbidly curious to see happen. I can't wait to see where the story continues from here. Who knows if we will see the rest of the game's plot carried out. I'd be pretty excited to see how the other games look here in this style. Needless to say, if you are a fan of FNAF, this series is definitely worth checking out for yourself. It's clear that a large amount of work went into this, so be sure to go and support the original creator. But that'll probably be about it for this video. As always, be sure to keep leaving me recommendations down below, whether it be in the YouTube comments or the community Discord. But if you'll excuse me, I need to go put in my 2 weeks for this terrible security job I have.